Now let's shift our attention to America. It is hosting an unexpected guest, China's President Xi Jinping. He arrived in San Francisco earlier today. In a few hours, President Xi will meet US President Joe Biden. The world will be watching this meeting. There's a lot riding on it. From military dialogue to economic ties, the agenda is expansive. But one question will be at the heart of all discussions. Can Xi Jinping and Joe Biden steer clear of conflict? Our next report tells you what to expect.
Xi Jinping doesn't like traveling these days. When the pandemic began, he socially distanced himself from the world, a practice that he still continues to this day. So there must be a very important reason for Xi Jinping to plan a trip to America right now. It isn't the friendliest of places for the Chinese president to visit. China is an arch rival of America. The Americans were quick to remind that to Xi. When he landed in San Francisco, he was greeted by protesters. There were crowds outside the luxury hotel where the Chinese president is staying. The public sentiment only highlights Xi's challenges. China's reputation isn't the best in America. After a relentless crackdown on businesses and the unexplained exit of two key ministers, there's a lack of trust, and that doesn't help Xi Jinping. One of his main priorities on this trip is to stabilize economic ties with the US. The Chinese president is already on the back foot. China is facing an economic slowdown. Youth unemployment is high, and foreign investors are pulling investment. So Xi doesn't have a lot of negotiating power. So before he landed in America, Beijing tried to strike the right tone.
中方反复呼吁尽快停火止战。
Speaking of China-US relations, the key to stabilize and improve our ties is to make concerted efforts, of which the fundamental thing is mutual respect. We hope that the United States can make concerted efforts with China and bring the relations back to the track of steady and sound development.
Thankfully for Xi Jinping, his host is in a welcoming mood. Joe Biden sought this meeting with Xi Jinping. He has good reasons to do so. There is a wave of instability sweeping the world. Conflicts are raging from Europe to West Asia. Tension with China is the last thing Biden wants before he heads into an election year. So his priority is to re-establish a hotline with Beijing.
How would you define success with your meeting with President Xi?
To get back on a normal course of corresponding, being able to pick up the phone and talk to one another if there's a crisis, being able to make sure our military still have contact with one another.
The White House is already tempering expectations. Beyond a direct line with Xi Jinping, Biden is hoping to re-establish military-to-military contact and address some issues of mutual concern, like climate change and the global economic slowdown. But some topics are bound to stir up a heated debate, like the military tensions around Taiwan, China's claims on the South China Sea, and the issue of human rights. On these issues, Washington and Beijing aren't saying much. They probably want this meeting to end without a hitch, where both parties can leave the room without engaging in a confrontation.